This video is sponsored by TNYou Fitness.
My name is Annette, editor, and I have a son who is 1 year and 4 months old, and the second one on the way.
Hi, my name is TNYou. I'm a mother of 3. 5 years ago, after the birth of my first daughter, I became frustrated. I researched and experimented with different lifestyle changes that ensured that I lost the 23 kg, which I gained during the pregnancy. 10 other women came and said, Tracy, what's your secret? Help us to lose weight. That got me excited, and that's how I got inspired to start TNYou. TNYou is the new you.
I got married, and after marriage, I didn't plan on having kids just immediately after marriage. I wanted to give myself a year to enjoy myself before kids come in. So 3 months into the marriage, I woke up one morning and I was feeling very weak, and I was having diarrhea and vomiting and all that. So I told my husband, and he was like, let's go to the hospital and check. And I was like, oh, I think it's normal and all that. So he still insisted. So we went to the hospital, and after the test and everything was done, the doctor told me that I was pregnant. And after hearing the news, I felt very bad. I felt very sad. Normally you should be happy, but I wasn't happy. I was even crying. So my husband was like, why are you crying? And he was happy. He was so happy that I was pregnant. And he was like, why are you crying? I was like, I'm not ready for this. I have a lot of things to do. I had my business. I was, doing my services at the time. I wanted to go back to school. I had a lot of things to do. So I wasn't happy, and I was crying and all that. So he had to call some family friends of ours to talk me through so that I'll be, I'll come into terms with it, that the pregnancy is already there. So I had a call from one of our family friends, and she spoke to me, and she was like, well, pregnancy doesn't end your life. You can still go on and do everything you want to do even as you are pregnant. So, just let life, take its course and all that. So I came to accept it and all that. And it wasn't easy. I didn't take it easy. I think the fact that I wasn't happy I was pregnant or something, so it wasn't easy at all. I didn't find it easy at all. The morning, every morning when I wake up, I would vomit. I didn't, anytime I smell food, I would vomit. It was terrible. It was so terrible.
Hi, my name is TNYou. I'm a mother of 3. 5 years ago, after the birth of my first daughter, I became frustrated. I researched and experimented with different lifestyle changes that ensured that I lost the 23 kg, which I gained during the pregnancy. 10 other women came and said, Tracy, what's your secret? Help us to lose weight. That got me excited, and that's how I got inspired to start TNYou. TNYou is the new you.
It was actually at dawn. So I go for antenatal and all that. So I was already told how delivery will happen or labor will happen. So, so when they started, I knew it was labor. So it was at dawn around 2 a.m. I was feeling abdominal pains, very intense. It comes and goes, So I was like, oh yeah, this is labor. So I woke my husband up and told him that I'm in labor. And he was like, oh no, because I normally complain about abdominal pains, and so he thought it was a normal thing. So he was like, oh, for sure, say normal, for sure. And I was like, no, this one is intense. This one is not like the other one. No. And he was sleeping. So I had to tap him, and he wouldn't wake up. So finally I had to push him with my leg, and he fell down the bed. Then that was when he realized that it was that serious. So my staff were already in the car and all that. So I just woke up, wore my clothes, and he was like, okay, let's go. So when we were going, the way I was walking, I was like, oh no, let me carry you. He was like, no, I'll walk. I want to walk. So I had to descend from the stairs down to the car. So we got to the hospital, and I was like, oh, I'm in labor. I'm going to the hospital. I just need to give birth. When I get there, baby's coming. So So I go to the hospital and they're like, okay, come and lie down, let's check. They checked and were like, you are 2 centimeters. I was like, oh, 2 centimeters. So I didn't even know what 2 centimeters was. Then the nurse told me that, okay, so in the labor process, you have to dilate to about 10 centimeters. So she showed me the dilation chart. So she was like, this 2 centimeters, this 4, this 6, this 8, and you have to get to 10 before the baby will come. I was like, okay. She was like, oh, since it's 2 centimeters, you can choose to stay or go home. Immediately, I jumped out of the bed. I was like, let's go home. I want to go because I won't stay here. So we left and we went home. So that day was a Saturday dawn when we went to the hospital. So we came back home and I came to sleep. So when we came, the pain was gone. So I felt like sleepy. So I slept. I think I slept for about 4 hours or so. So when I woke up around 3 p.m. and I had the urge to eat jollof. I told him I want to eat jollof. I was like, so how do we eat jollof and all that? Because he wasn't ready to go and prepare. I was like, no, I want to go and prepare the jollof myself. And that time when I woke up, this strength from nowhere, like, all of a sudden. So I was like, some few hours before I was, and all that. So I went to the kitchen. I told him that I needed it. So I went to the kitchen and prepared the food and, I ate to my satisfaction. So as then my mom was around. So after eating the jollof, my mom was eating kinky. And I was like, I want to eat the kinky. And I ate the kinky. After eating the kinky, then I told her I want to eat, I feel like taking mango. And she gave me mango and I took the mango. So after taking the mango and I felt like peeing. So I went to the washroom and when I was peeing, I realized that there was this mucus with blood coming. So I called my husband and told him that, oh, see what is coming out. And he was like, let's go back to the hospital. So he called my mom to come and check. So when my mom saw it, my mom was like, no, we have to go back to the hospital. I was like, oh no, it's nothing because I'm not feeling any pain. So let's stay. And my husband was like, no, I won't even listen to whatever you are saying. We are going to the hospital, whether you like it or yes. So I just had to oblige and we went to the hospital. So we got there around 9 p.m. We got to the hospital and they checked again. And they were like, you have dilated 2 centimeters. I was like, what? Since dawn, 2 centimeters again. So I was like, okay. They were like, well, if you want to stay, fine. If you want to go home, it's cool. I was like, okay, let's go home because I'm not staying again. Then my husband was like, no way, we are staying. So, so before we would leave, then the nice doctor was around. So the doctor was like, she wants to check something. So I should go and lie down so that she checks my dilation and all that. So I went to lie down. They used the CT scan and all that. So she checked and she was like, I'm dilating. So she wouldn't make me go home. She wants to keep me and monitor me for some time. If she thinks it's necessary for me to go home, she'll just allow me to go. So I was there, then they'll come and check. So a few minutes they'll come and check. And the doctor checked and she was like, no, I'm not allowing you to go. We have to detain you. So I was like, okay. So, they came to give me the infusion and all that. So I was there. And that was when the pain started again. It was so intense. So I was in a room with one lady that was also in labor. And the way the lady was just screaming and because I was like, so, at a moment, I forgot about my pain. And I was looking at the lady. So I was just looking at her. I was having some weird look. I was like, what is it that this woman is doing? Because we are going through the same thing. So why is this woman behaving like this? Then I was like, well, probably she's feeling more pain than I am. So let me not judge her. So I was there and the doctor was like, oh, I have to stay. So my husband was like, okay, then they have to book a room for me so that I will move from here and get there. So they booked the room. And I was there. So the pain was just intense. They would come, they would go. And my husband was there, my mom was there. So we actually slept in the hospital that night. So my husband stayed, my mom also stayed. So at dawn. So actually the pain wasn't that intense, so I was able to sleep. So at dawn around 4 a.m., then the pain woke me up actually. So when the pain woke me up, then I woke up my husband. I was like, go and bring the nurse because this time around, the pain is so intense, I can't. It's so painful. So he went in to bring the nurse. The nurse comes, checks again, and she's like, you are 2 centimeters. Then I looked at my husband. I was like, with all this pain I'm going through, you are still telling me I'm 2 centimeters from Saturday. Today is Sunday. And you're telling me I'm 2 centimeters. So I was fed up. The pain was so intense. So one time I'll feel like peeing. So I will tell them I want to pee. They'll be like, oh no, it's the baby. When you go, you can't even pee. So I'll actually be like, I want to pee. We'll leave and we'll go and I'll go and pee. So I had the infusion. I would just have to carry it to the washroom, pee, come back. So I was just going up and down, peeing and all that. So around 5 a.m., then they came back to come and check. As at that time that I was in labor, my water hadn't broken yet. So I was still there. So the nurse came in and she came to check. So immediately she pushed their hands down there, then the water broke. So when the water broke, then the nurse's face changed. So I was like, so I also had this weird look, like, what's happening? Then the nurse was like, I'm coming, I'm going to bring the doctor. So the nurse goes to bring in the doctor. The doctor comes in, sees the water, and also changes her face. So then I was like, so my husband was standing, he didn't even know what was going on. So the doctor told me that my water had broken, but it wasn't clear. The baby had poo-pooed inside the water, so the baby was going through distress. So the only option we have now is to go to the theater so that they can deliver the baby. But so I was objecting. I was like, no, I'm not going to do anything serious. I came in here to push my baby out and go. And the doctor was like, it's not about you, it's about the baby. So let's just do that. So I was telling my husband, so I even started crying. So I told my husband, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. I won't do it. So my husband went out. So after then, before they really tell me that we had to do CS, they asked my mom to step out so that they can tell us the news. So when my husband also heard the news, his demeanor changed. So he went out and my mom saw him, and my mom got worried. So my mom asked him what was going on. He was like, oh, everything is okay. So my mom was still not convinced. Then he came in and told me that, oh, this. So he wants to tell my mom. I said, yeah, you have to tell him because that's the only option we have. So he went, he tells my mom. And my mom's face changed. She became so worried because according to my mom has 6 kids. And all the 6 kids, she pushed them out. So why is it that her daughter is pregnant, goes into labor, going to give birth, and she's going through surgery? It is never possible. So my mom was so worried, and mothers, how they are doing a labor and all that. So my mom came here, she wanted to cry. I told her that we don't cry. So my husband had to come and talk to me and all that. So I even accepted it that, yes, this is, let's just do it. So they were prepping me for the theater. So they asked us to go and bring blood and all that. And I had already come to donate blood there. But as at that time, they told me that my blood type wasn't available. So the only option we had to go and buy blood from 37. So my husband rushed to 37, bought the blood, came in, and we went to the theater. So we got to the theater. Before I even entered, they had to cancel me through. So they asked me, have you gone through surgery? If I said no. So they told me what to expect. Okay, so when you get inside, this is what we'll do. We'll give you anesthesia. We'll do this. And within 40-45 minutes, it will be done so that you come out. But what they didn't tell me was the effect of the anesthesia after the surgery. They never told me. So I also didn't have any idea about the effects of the anesthesia after the surgery. So we went in, started the procedure, and the doctors were there, the nurses were there, they were going through the procedure. So I had this doctor who was, chatting with me and all that. So as then, when they started the procedure, I wanted to sleep. And the doctor told me that I can't sleep because the anesthesia they gave me is not the one that will make me sleep. So it is not good, I can't sleep. So they had to bring 2 doctors, one on my right, one on my left, to start, playing with me. So they started pulling my cheeks, pulling my nose, and all that, so that it would make me stay awake. So I think 20 minutes into the surgery, I started feeling cold. I was actually shivering. So I told them that I'm feeling cold. So they were like, oh, what is it? Is it the AC? Is it this? So they had to, bring their scraps to come and cover me. And I think about 4 or 5 cover me, and I was still shivering. So the doctors had to hold my hand because I was shivering, I was shaking, and we were going through the process too. So doctors held my hand And the process was that. So after they finished the process, so as I was lying down, I was just shivering and all that. So whatever was going on, I didn't even bother. What I could hear was the baby was crying. So they brought the baby, they were like, "This is your child." And I just looked away. I saw that, I just looked at the baby and I looked away. And they took the baby to go and dress up the baby and all that. So in the process of stitching me back, the sleep, the coldness, I don't know where it went to. It just vanished like that. All of a sudden. So the nurses that were stitching me back, they also started chatting and were like, "Oh, madam, but no more of a pan, but I'm not sending papa." Or so, I didn't send papa, sir. "Oh, madam, why not dear cry?" So I was like, "Oh, they were like, "I can't send papa, and at least it was all sell cry, I'm not sending papa. But wait, dear, no papa, mama, no papa, no papa, and said, "Baby, I send papa." And yes, why would the next time what sign back on another cell? So that even brought the happiness and all that. So I started laughing, and as at that point I wanted to see my baby. So she was like, "Oh, don't worry." So I think the stitching took about 15 minutes. It wasn't long. So after they finished, and we were like, "Okay, we are done. So we want to bring you back to the recovery room." So before I even go to the theater, I asked my husband to go with me. I told him I want to go to the theater with you. So we should all go. I think he was scared. So he just didn't want to come along. Whether he was scared of blood, whether he was scared of the theater room, nothing. I entered the theater and I think my husband was nowhere to be found. When I saw my husband was when I was in the delivery room and recovery room, and he had come to look at his baby. So as at then, he wasn't even permitted to come to the recovery room. So they just took the baby and showed the baby to him at the door. So I turned and he was just, like this. So he was happy. So he went out. So when he even saw the baby, when I saw the baby, I didn't have any emotions. None. My husband saw the baby. My husband started crying. He was happy. So he went to, after seeing the baby, they brought the baby back. Then he went to where my mother was. After that, my mother-in-law had come in, and he went there to go and tell them that we had delivered. So when they saw him crying, they thought something had happened. So they were like, and then they see. And I was like, "Oh, she see, wow, Akolano," and all that. So he was just describing the baby. "Oh, Akolano is semi-pan." And according to him, the baby looked like his father. So his father is late. So he was like, "My father had reincarnated," and all that. So we're there. Then some few minutes he will come and watch the baby go. So he was actually at the door. He just didn't want to move. But so we're there. So then, as I was there, I started feeling itch. My body started itching. So I didn't understand. I would itch my face. I was scratching my whole body, and I couldn't feel my legs. So I would scratch my legs and I wouldn't feel anything. So I was just scratching my hand and my back. And I was lying on my back. So it was difficult to scratch my back. So I called for one doctor. So the doctor came in and I asked the doctor, "My body is itching, and why is it that?" So the doctor was like, "They are sorry, they didn't tell me the effects of the anesthesia. What is happening to me now is the effect of the anesthesia. So it's the anesthesia that is working. That is why I'm feeling like that." I was like, okay. So I just had to endure. So some few minutes later, then I called them and I told them that I wanted to drink water. I was thirsty because I had eaten a day before and I hadn't eaten again till that time. So I was hungry and I was feeling thirsty. So I called for water and they told me that it wasn't possible for me to drink water until after 8 hours of the surgery. Then I just looked at the doctor. I was like, I should be lying like this. My body is itching me. I'm hungry. I'm feeling thirsty. And you're telling me that it's after 8 hours I can drink water. And my throat was dry. I hadn't felt that before. My throat was dry. So I just looked at the doctor and was like, "Doctor, I said, because my throat was dry. The saliva was dry." And the doctor said, that is what we can do. There's nothing we can do. So you just have to, go through it. I'm like, okay. So I had to go through it. And as at that time, the baby too was with me. And I was like, I thought, after I give birth to the baby, you have to breastfeed the baby. But they hadn't put in the baby to my breast. I was also lying down. The baby wasn't crying. So I was wondering, what is going on? Because the baby wasn't crying. So later when we came, I was telling my husband that I think as at that time it was a miracle. Because even if the baby was crying, I had to breastfeed the baby. I didn't know how I was going to breastfeed the baby. Because the way I was lying, I wasn't feeling my body. So how was I going to breastfeed the baby? So probably it was a miracle that the baby wasn't crying to even disturb me in the first place. So I just thank God that happened. So some few minutes later, then the nurses came for the baby. They were going to feed the baby. I think after surgery, they give the baby some milk to sustain them before you can be able to breastfeed and all that. So came to pick the baby, went to give the baby milk and brought the baby back. And as I was lying there, I would sleep, I would wake up, watch the time, and the time wasn't moving. I would sleep, wake up, watch the time wasn't moving. And the baby too would sleep equally. When I wake up, I look at the baby, and the baby is just staring back at me, and we all sleep again, and all the time the baby never cried. Till it was around 8 p.m. in the evening, and we were like, okay, now they are taking me to the ward. So we got to the ward, and I told them, can I drink water now? They're like, oh, some few minutes later. So I started calculating from the time we had the surgery. So the time that I was there, and I told them that it is 8 hours past. I want to drink water. So I told my husband I wanted to drink water, and my husband went to bring water. So the 1 liter bottle of water, 2. When I put that thing to my mouth, I think I just finished one in like 2 seconds. Then the second one went. I had never drank water like that before. But that day, I drank the water like crazy. After drinking the water, then I just slept off. So my husband had to leave to the house. So my mom was there. All this while my mom came with us the previous day. She had stayed there throughout. So my mom was there, and I told her, okay, now they can go home, prepare and come back so that we'll see the way forward. So she went home with my husband, and the following day they came to come and check up on me. So the following day, my husband had exams to go and write, so he left to go and write the exam. So he called me before going to write the exam. So my mom came around, and before my mom came, they had already, bathed the baby, cleaned up the baby and all that. So as I then, I could feel my legs, so I could just come out of bed. So one nurse came to pick me as well and went to bath me, clean me up and everything. When I came back to the room, I felt so grateful to the nurse. I was like, so when my husband came, I was even telling him that, do you know what happened? A nurse actually came to pick me and bath me. And I was telling him that it was weird for me because there was blood and all that. And, she had to wash my blood and, so I was telling them that this nurse, I've noticed that I will do something for this nurse before I leave. And the nurse was basically bathing me every day until I could bath myself, and she showed me how I would do it so that I wouldn't, water wouldn't enter the wound, so that, we'll have tissues and all that. So finding a name for baby, we already had a name for the baby before the baby was born. So my husband wanted to honor his late father, by naming the baby after him. So my husband is Ewe, I'm a Nodna. So basically we had to choose an Ewe name for the baby. So I was like, okay. So the Ewe name for the baby, I was like, oh, I want Elikem. My husband was like, okay, Elikem, fine. So he was like, okay, his dad is called Joseph. So we called the baby Joseph. But he was like, no, Joseph is too local. So let's look for a very nice name that relates to Joseph so that we can give to the baby. So he checked the Spanish form of Joseph, and it was Jose. So we named the baby Jose. So in the hospital on Monday after I gave birth on Sunday. And actually the Sunday I gave birth was the same birthday of my husband. My husband is a Sunday born. So he was so happy that the baby came on a Sunday. So the Monday after the Sunday, my sister-in-law came in to visit. So she was like, oh, whatever name have you given to the baby? I was like, oh, Elikem. She was like, no, we have a lot of Elikem in the family, so we don't want Elikem. I came with my own name. I was like, okay, let's hear the name. She was like, Fafali. She's like, okay, it's a nice name. I was like, yeah, accepted. We'll take the Fafali. So we'll go with the Fafali. So we already had the baby's name, but the Ewe name was what changed out before the baby came in. So we named the baby Jose Fafali Kwesi. He was a son. He's a son. They were Kwesi Hedido. That's my husband's last name. We came home on Thursday evening, and the drama started from there. So the day we came home, the following day, my mom was with me. So my mom just actually had to move in to come and help me, basically. So my mom would bath the baby, do everything. So even in the hospital, I think a day or two, I started breastfeeding. So the baby was taking just one part of the breast. It wasn't taking the other side. So the other side was swollen. So it was just so painful. So we got home and my mom was like, I should use shea butter to massage it so that the water will come out, the milk will come out to release the pain for me. So we tried. She was like, I should continue trying, giving the baby. The baby was taking the right side of the breast. I wasn't taking the left side of the breast. She was like, oh, continue trying. He will definitely take it. So not knowing that he had been taking the right side, so the milk was now sweeter than the left side. So immediately, sometimes if he's hungry and I want to breastfeed him, I put the left breast to his mouth. He tastes it and no, he wouldn't take it. So I just have to turn it. So this breast was becoming so bigger and this one was smaller. So my mom was there helping and all that. So one day, my mom was like, I think 2 weeks after, my mom was like, she was going to town. So she'll be back in a few hours so that she come and so she left very early, so the baby hadn't woken up to bath and all that. And when we came home, every time she's bathing the baby, I'll be there observing. I'll just look at the way she turn the baby, bath the baby and all that. Even with the umbilical cord in there. So I will just look at how careful she would bath the baby. So she left and it was 10 a.m. she wasn't back. 11 she wasn't back. I was like, no, the baby was out. I'd fed the baby and all that. It's like, no, the baby has to bath. So I took the baby, warmed water, packed everything down, and I took the baby and I bathed the baby. After 2 weeks, and I had a sore down there that was so painful, and I just had to manage through it. So I bathed the baby, dressed up the baby, and she came. So when she came, and she was like, oh, bring the water and everything. I was like, no, I've already bathed the baby and dressed up the baby. She was like, how? I was like, I bought the baby. Why check if I didn't buy the baby? Well, so she now took the baby, checked the baby's ears, checked the cell, like to make sure that there was no death hidden anywhere. And I said, I bought the baby. She was like, how did you do it? I was like, every time when you're bathing the baby, I've been observing. Because I wanted to learn this so that the day that you are not there, not that you are going to come back, you are gone and you won't come back. I will know how to go about it and all that. So I bathed the baby. And from then, every morning, she'll make me bath the baby in the morning. So in the evening, she was like, oh, come and bath the baby. I was like, no, in the evening, I won't do that. In the evening, I won't do that. I will just do it in the morning. So the following morning, she was like, okay, come and smile, bath the baby, let me see. So I bathed the baby, and my mom was so surprised. She was like, we needed him. I was like, yes, so I want him to say, we needed him. And one thing about me, when I see someone doing something I'm very interested about it, I want to learn. So I was so interested about the way she was bathing the baby and I wanted to learn. Because most of the time I like to do things on my own. Whether with help or without help, I would like to do things on my own. So I just wanted to learn so that I could do it on my own. So my mom was with me for I think 2 months and she left. So from 2 months I had to, deal with the baby. That is where the real life started. My baby wasn't a crying baby, yes. So when we sleep at night, he will wake up once or twice to feed and we'll sleep. And the baby could sleep. Sometimes in the day, after bathing, feeding him, he could sleep 6 hours non-stop. So sometimes when he's sleeping, I just go and raise his hand and see whether the baby was alive. And my mom would be like, oh no, stop, let's allow him to sleep. If the baby was crying, you complain. The baby sleeping, you complain. I was like, no. He was slept for 6 good hours. And no, I had to check because I'm scared the way he's sleeping. So way back in the hospital, they will even tell you that, oh, even if the baby is sleeping, wake up the baby 2 hours interval to breastfeed the baby. Charlie, when we came with that, thing didn't work. If the baby is sleeping, then I will call it, when I have the time, I will call it sleep and all that. But most of the time, they'll tell you, oh, akolane da and all that. Akolane da, you have things to do. Even though my mom was there, she was washing, she was cooking, she was doing basically everything. Before I wake up, she would, clean the house and all that. But I still had things to do. Yes, I still had things to do. So I, quickly do this and that and that. So my mom left and I was left with my faith. My husband would go to work and I'll be at home with the baby alone. So I woke up one morning and I was like, so what is this lifestyle? Like, what is this? So I have given birth to a human being, and the human being is there. The woman is just controlling my life, telling me what to do. Because I was stagnant, I wasn't going anywhere. I'm one person that I like to go out. Sometimes I don't really feel like going out, but when I feel like going out, I want to go out. But this time around, no. Somebody has come to control your life, tell you when to go out and when not to go out. So even though I still insisted on going out, even as young as the baby was, I still wanted to go out and all that, but I couldn't. So my husband would leave and go to work and we'll be at home alone. Then, it was a time I just didn't even want to touch the baby. The baby would be there crying, I'd just be looking at the baby like that. So one day, my husband had gone to work and I called him. I woke up and I was crying. So I picked the phone and called my husband. And I was crying on the phone. He was asking what is wrong with me. And I didn't even know what was wrong with me. To even tell him that this is what is wrong with me. So he asked, is the baby okay? I said, yes, the baby is okay. And I was still crying. I was like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. I don't know what is wrong with me. I was crying. And I was crying. So before I realized, my husband was home. And the speed at which he drove to come to the house, you can only imagine. If there was an accident, Charlie, he would have even gone. So he came and was like, what is wrong with you? Why are you crying? Why? And I was like, I'm here. Nobody is here. There's nobody for me to talk to. The baby has been crying. I don't know what to do with myself and all that. And I'm restricted. I can't do anything. Whatever. So my husband had to call a friend, a family friend of ours, to tell her that this is what Annette is experiencing. She's been crying and she doesn't even know why she's crying and all that. So the lady called me and told me that she understands what I'm going through. What I'm going through actually is called postpartum depression. That is what I'm going through. And it is nothing serious. So I should just relax and all that. So, she would call me every single day to make sure that I wouldn't do anything stupid to myself or to the baby. Because we were basically alone at home. And my mom would come in like once in a week to come and check out on us and go and all that. It's like, okay. So I would wake up, do whatever I have to do, lay the baby to bed, and I'll start crying again. Oh, crying. Sometimes I'll be thinking, it's like, what kind of life is this? Me worry in terms even when I got pregnant, I wanted to abort the pregnancy. As at the time I got pregnant, I wanted to abort the pregnancy. And what you talking and all that, so I just had to keep it. Now the baby's in, and I felt like everyone had rejected me. There was no one around me, cause I turned to my left and there's no one. I turned to my right and there's no one. My husband would go to work, come in at 4, 5, and that is the time that I would see my husband to talk to him or something. So it was very frustrating, and it wasn't like the baby was worrying me by crying and not allowing me to do stuff. No, my baby was just a good boy. He would sleep, allow me and all that. But just that I wasn't happy myself. I wasn't happy with myself. So I just had to cope. Because there was nothing you could do. All that you needed to do was be strong for the baby and take care of the baby. That was the most important thing. And also take care of yourself. But I think when my mom comes around and I try to tell her that, I don't know what's wrong with me, and sometimes I don't feel like touching the baby, she'll be like, normal, and all that. But I think that I felt she should have listened to me. Yes, she should have listened to me and, listened to my feelings and all that. But, our mothers and all that, they just didn't have this thing that, oh, it was postpartum depression. No, they didn't know anything about that. All that they were like, war fever, until wow, sa na obe feel it. Oh, I know my back and all that. So yeah, I just had to cope through it. I enjoy a whole lot. Especially seeing the boys smile back at you, as tiny as they are, and you play with them and they will smile and laugh and all that. I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed my son. Let me say, my son was a good boy. So anywhere we go, everybody just wanted to take him. Everybody just wanted to, and my son was hairy. When I got pregnant, I was praying for a baby girl, but my dream didn't come true like that. I got a baby boy. So I was even telling my husband that, I think God wanted to give me a baby girl. That's why the boy's hair is plenty. And he didn't give me a baby girl, he gave me a baby boy. So then I will braid the hair. Yes, to accomplish having the baby girl. My son was there, so I would braid this boy's hair. And I felt fulfilled. I would just braid his hair and sitting, I was like, and my son looked like a girl. When you braid the hair, my son, basically sometimes when we go out, people ask, "I'll buy my bema or your bar?" I'm like, "Oh, bema, oh, so bow," and all that. So I was telling him, you see, I said God wanted to give us a girl, but probably you went ahead of me and prayed, and God gave us a boy. So I call no goya or bow, see us a bema. But aside that, yes, I enjoyed a lot about the boy. The boy was so fun to be around. Everybody wanted to have him around. Everybody. My siblings grew to love him. My friends grew to love him. And my friends will always ask, so he's called Kwesi. So we call him Juju. My husband is also Kwesi, so we call him Juju. So everybody will go, how is Juju? How is Juju? We go somewhere, Juju. Everybody. Anytime we go out or we go to church, everybody wants to pick him. Everybody wants to pick him. But it wasn't possible like that. You couldn't, a tiny baby to everybody. And you just had to be careful. The boy, so that was, I think, yes, that was what I enjoyed. Because the joy of having a baby that everybody loved to be around with was the greatest joy about it. So, yeah. My baby was 3 months when we went into lockdown. So basically from 3 months till when he was 9 months, when I had to start work, we were at home. We were not going anywhere that, people would have access to pick him and all that. So yeah, so let me say, we didn't encounter any problems because even sometimes when we have to go for weighing and all that, we missed one of our weighing. That was when we were in the lockdown proper. We missed one weighing. So yeah, sometimes we go to weighing. So sometimes when I go for weighing and the next I don't see them wearing gloves and all that and they are handling the babies, I feel so bad. I feel some way. So we go to where we come home now and I want to bath him, clean him, because Charlie, I don't know what they've touched, because they've touched different babies. And all that they will do is sanitize their hands. But I felt like they should put on gloves. Because we're in an awkward situation here that you couldn't handle it, because some babies will come with heat rashes on their body and all that, you touch them and you touch another baby with it and all that. Yeah, so basically I think we didn't encounter any problems. So after 9 months, I left him at home and my sisters were there to help. So I had a chance to go to work and all that. After that, I left him at home, went to work, come back from work and he'll be there, we'll play and all that. So, yes, I encountered COVID. So basically with this pregnancy too, I got pregnant without knowing I was pregnant. The first one I knew. But the second one, I never knew I was pregnant until I think about 8 weeks. So I wasn't feeling too well. So I went to the hospital and, tests were run and all that. And I was told I was pregnant. So when the doctor told me I was pregnant, I was like, how? Because I never had any symptoms of pregnancy. So I was even surprised myself. So I started calculating. I was like, how did I get pregnant? I don't even understand how I got pregnant. And I asked the doctor, how old the pregnancy was. He was like 8 weeks. I was like, really? Yeah, no, don't even say 8 weeks. You're telling me I'm 2 months pregnant. Really? So I was there. The doctor was like, why? Are you surprised? I was like, yes, I'm surprised because I've not even planned for a second. After that, my baby was I think my baby was a year older. And the baby was already a year older. So I just had to leave, come home. I came home and I told my husband I was pregnant. And he was like, oh yes, I knew. Because from the way you're telling me, oh, you are feeling like, I knew it. I was like, no. Me, I didn't know I was pregnant because I didn't, the first one, I was vomiting, I was feeling weak and all. This one, there was nothing like weakness. I was even strong, doing a whole lot of stuff. So there was nothing like pregnancy and I wasn't ready for a second pregnancy. Now, I wasn't ready. Because of the CS I went through. So I just wanted to give myself some time to heal properly before a second baby comes in. So I wasn't ready. But I was like, Abba, you're so sad. So I think 3 months into the pregnancy, I had COVID. And that was tough for me. It was so tough for me. 3 months into the pregnancy, I had COVID. And luckily for me, as at that time I had the baby wasn't around. My son was with my mom. So it was my husband and I and my younger brother. So before I didn't even know I had COVID. I think I'd had the COVID for 2 weeks. And I didn't know it was COVID. So it became so I had severe headache. And the headache, came with burning sensation that as I was sitting there, you could see my eyes and they were red. I just couldn't do anything. I couldn't smell. My nose were blocked. So, I tried the home remedies, steaming and all that, and it wasn't helping. So one Monday, I told my husband I want to go to the hospital. We were at work, and I called him and told him I want to go to the hospital because the way I'm feeling is so bad. I want to go to the hospital. So we went to the hospital, and they ran some tests on me, and they were like, "We think you should do a COVID test so that we will know what exactly it is because we've checked for malaria, we've checked for this, and there's nothing wrong with it, but we feel we should do a COVID test." Like, okay. So at the mention of COVID, me don't share me. I was like, no, it is not COVID. It should be something else. So the following morning, they gave us a letter to go to Noguchi and go and do a COVID test. So we went to Noguchi, did a COVID test, and my husband told them that we needed the results in a day's time because I was pregnant and was an emergency. So they worked on that and we did a COVID, we did a test, and the following morning we had the results and the results was positive. And I was down. And I started crying. And I was like, God, why? Why me? In this situation, I'm pregnant. How can I have COVID? What will happen to my baby? What will happen to me? What will happen to my family? And all sorts of things were just running through my head. So we went to the hospital, showed the results to the doctor. And the doctor was like, COVID doesn't end your life. Even though you are pregnant, take it easy. The doctor had to talk to me. So, we go to the hospital, enter the consultation, the doctor is talking, I'm just like this with my doctor. I won't utter a word. I'll be there. So it was my husband that was just doing the talking. So we'll go. And we'll tell us, come back in 2 weeks for review. Let's see how you are progressing, or let's see how you are responding to the drugs we have put you on. So we are home, and my husband also had to stay away from work because basically I'm in the same house with him. I have COVID, so there's a probability that he had COVID, but he wasn't showing symptoms, so he didn't have the COVID. So the doctor told me that there was a probability that my husband wouldn't even have the COVID, even though we sleep on the same bed, we're in the same house and all that. He wouldn't have the COVID, but we don't know. I didn't even know how I got the COVID. Serious, because I wasn't going out. I wasn't going, let's say, to church or something, or to town or anything. I'm a student, so I go for weekend classes. And even this weekend class, we do it online. So Monday to Friday, I come back from work. Saturday, Sunday, I'm at home. So how possibly did I get the COVID? And you just couldn't understand it. The COVID, why you're COVID? So just deal with it. So we'll go for review. So like, okay, you are responding to the treatments, blah, blah, blah. They wanted to admit me in the hospital. But unfortunately, the doctor said there were no beds. So I should go home. And I was even happy I was going home. Because I just couldn't stand the fact that I would be in the hospital. No. I was even glad I was at home. So my husband had to lock me inside the room. And it was frustrating. It was so frustrating. Being locked up in the room and all that you could see is the window. You just peep through the window and see whatever is going on outside, and that is it. You'll be in the room almost all the time. I wake up, bath, my food will be brought to me. And the way they will hand over the food to you, guys, like you're an outcast. He will come and he's like, let's take the food. Then he just dropped the food in. So, all that was making me feel so bad. I felt so one time, he came in and he could see that I wasn't happy. And as at then that I was there alone, I could just do anything to myself. So, he would come and be like, okay, yes, it has happened. Let's just go stay with you, be fine and all that. And almost every single time, the people that will get to hear of it will want to call me and, sympathize with you. And I just didn't like that pity thing. No. So people call me and I wouldn't even answer the call. And all the calls that will come, my husband would just pick up the call and be like, she's not well, she doesn't want to talk and all that. If it was messaging, yes, I would just message you and all that. And people were like, okay, can I call? I said, no, I don't want to talk. So don't call me. So I just had to deal with it, for about 3 weeks. And having the COVID too was another thing altogether. You just, I couldn't sleep. I was told about all that yes, it comes with all this. You have hallucinations. Sometimes I'll sleep and I'll wake up in the middle of the night. It felt like someone was calling me to come. Then I would just wake up, go and stand by the door. The door is locked. Where are you going to? My husband basically locked the door and put the key. The door was locked. Where were you going? There was nowhere you could go. So I would just go sit back on the bed, sit down. Sometimes for a whole 2 hours, I was sitting down. And, I would just fall asleep again. I would just be there. And some things were just going through my mind. I just wanted to do something to myself. And I was banking on the door. I was basically banking on the door. And he came in, he stood by the other side of the door. He was like, what's wrong with you? And I said, open, I want to come out. He said, no, you can't come out. No, please, I can't open the door. And before I realized, I was just still on the floor, I was crying. And that was my fate for almost 3 weeks. I had to deal with it, staying in one room. I think I became fed up. Seriously, I became fed up. So the drugs that were given to me in the hospital, I had finished taking all of that. So I was left with only vitamin C. And what helped me as well too was I was doing the steaming with a neem tree and lemon. We boil it, my mother would boil it, bring the water. I was, inhale it and all that, do the steaming after that. I would use the water and bath with the water. So all that helped me. So finally, we had to go for a second test to see how the treatment was. So we went for the test and the results came in like 2 days after. And finally, I was COVID free. And I was like, thank God, I can go out now. Already now I had a program to go. So I was just praying that this thing comes out negative. The thing came out negative. I was like, please, I'm taking my dress for the outing tomorrow. This is what I'm wearing. The following day, I wore white though. The Sunday, I wore white to church. People saw me. Those that knew I had COVID knew. But those that didn't know I had COVID were, hey, Masha white. People didn't know why I was in white. Because anything could have happened. The doctor was telling me that let's just thank God that I had gone through it and, I didn't encounter any problem, not even with my pregnancy and all that. People get COVID. And she was telling me about one case that the person came in like the way I came in and she died that same day out of COVID. So I should just be grateful. So I went there and, I think that when I was recovering, the process of recovery, I went there and now she would talk and I'll just respond and I was just like, oh, I can see that, Charlie. Sometimes I think I would go to the hospital and my hair was just messy and I'll go and sit there. And my hair was messy, I was sitting there. So one time we were going there, I think the 10th visit or something, we were going there. Hey, my polishing and all that. So I went there and I was like, hey, today I can see you are speck and pow. That means something good is about to happen. And I was like, yes. So, it brought smiles to my face. I started smiling. So he wasn't telling my husband not to lock me too much into them because I think that me staying in the room for that long was also part because it wasn't helping. That's why I was depressed, I was this and all that. So sometimes he just allow me, fine, I can come out, put on my nose mask, walk around so that I can feel some air and all that. It will also help in recovering and all that. So when he heeded to that advice, it helped. And I think the recovery was even faster than it was expected. Yeah. Everybody's times and seasons are not the same. You might get married and you'll be expecting to have a baby immediately after you get married, and it wouldn't happen like that. You might also get married and you are not expecting the baby and the baby comes. Like my case now. 3 months into the marriage, I didn't even enjoy myself. I didn't even go for honeymoon. No, baby comes. So I told my husband, honeymoon, I told you. Yeah, because baby is in. Now, what do you call honeymoon? What I thought will you enjoy? No, that. So, times and seasons are different. Yours will come in the afternoon. Someone's will come in the evening. So, just pray to God. Wait on God. When the time is right, God will give it to you. I think sometimes some people's miracle delays because God feels that is not the time to give it to you. Probably, yes, we are praying for the fruit of the womb. There's no way you are capable of taking care of the child. He is waiting for the perfect time that he knows you are capable of taking care of the child to give it to you. In my case, I think God knew that I was ready to take care of the child and he brought me the child. And when he brought me the child, it was so amazing that 2 weeks, Obi ICS, 2 weeks, now we drive. It was so amazing. A first time mom, I had no idea. As I was able to birth the baby. And from there, I took it from there. Everybody's times and seasons are different. And children are different. Never compare your child to someone's child. I have a friend who gave birth to a baby girl. And her best friend also gave birth to a baby girl. And she was always comparing. Oh, my baby is not big. My baby is not eating. My baby is not this. My friend's baby is always eating. She's lively. She's fat. She's growing big and all that. And as we are talking, so how do you expect to get a big baby? Exactly. So, we have to talk to her and tell her that stop comparing your baby to hers. Your baby is unique in her own way. Her baby is unique in her own way. Don't compare your baby to someone's baby. All the kids that God gives to us are different. They all come with different personalities. Yeah, so that's my little advice to mothers out there and would-be mothers out there.
This video was brought to you by TNYou Fitness.